Yes, Mr. Lee.
Did we the Soldano SLO pedal video up?
I don't think so, but the comments section would suggest otherwise.
Yes, you're right. 2 or 3 weeks ago, Soldano released this pedal. It was heralded as the pedal version of the SLO amplifier. Like many other YouTubers, Pete and I decided to compare a real, actually an SLO 30, but a real SLO amplifier to this pedal running through a different amplifier. And it sounded close, pretty close, but people watching the video suggested they didn't think it did, and then we started messing around putting it into the Soldano, and people said, why are you putting a Soldano into a Soldano? Anyway, I'll read some comments for you in a bit. So we conceded that maybe we just need to revisit this. Maybe we need to revisit the whole because it's not the first time that I've been criticized about, not really knowing how to dial a metal tone in. So we're going to get into that in a bit. Now, the first thing I guess we should say is, why is everybody talking about metal with Soldano?
Yeah, that's a very good question to begin with.
So I'm on the Soldano website on the artist page. I'm just going to read them. Am I going to read them all out? Are there millions? No, there's way too many to read them all out. So I'm going to go through the ones and sort of give you a bit of a flavour. You can do this yourself, obviously. But Kill Switch Engage, I think we'll accept that's a metal band. Yes. Whitesnake, Adrian Vandenberg Whitesnake. Maybe it was considered metal back in the day. I don't think you would do now.
More like bronze.
BB King. Couldn't get any less metal. Benji Madden from Good Charlotte, again, kind of like pop metal, right? The Grateful Dead, Bob Weir. Linkin Park, new metal. Night Ranger, 80s rock glam rock. Aerosmith, Brad Whitford, Aerosmith. Again, maybe it used to be metal, but probably wouldn't consider it metal anymore.
I would never consider that
hard rock. Buddy Guy, not metal. CC DeVille from Poison, again, hair metal. One of Bob Dylan's guitar players. Queensryche, pretty heavy. Crikey, I'm just going to try and. I've got a feeling now we could be here for a long time if I don't. Anthrax, Danny Spitz, Anthrax, that's metal. REO Speedwagon, not metal. Again, sorry if I've not read your name. Yeah, exactly. Derek Trucks, not metal. Dickie Betts from the Allman Brothers, not metal. Eddie Van Halen, metal. Eric Clapton, not metal. Wow, I'm going to read this guy's name out just because the band's name's amazing. Flav Giorgini from Squirt Gum. Yeah. The Pixies. Gary Moore.
But Van Halen is not metal, is it? Is that a metal tone?
George Harrison.
George Harrison.
Always top of the metal polls. Yeah. George Lynch. Another George. So look, do you know what? Jay Mascis, Jerry Cantrell. Crikey, this is a who's who of guitar players. But I think you can sort of see that there's absolutely no sense that this is an out-and-out metal amplifier.
No.
This is an amplifier that players from many genres have used, of which, hard rock and metal is maybe just one of the genres. But I think that's where we got most heat for, wasn't it, in the previous video? Yeah. It's just like, so, let me read you out. Probably, this is the most thumbs up comment in the first video from Kem Sadam. You should have tried the pedal through the effects return of the Soldano amp. Actual preamp versus pedal preamp. If you insert this pedal in front of the amp, then you get twice filtering due to cascading tone stacks, which is not ideal. So of course, we went back to Soldano and said, is this pedal supposed to go in the front of an amplifier or through the effects return of an amplifier? Soldano came back, hey man, it can be used as both, but it's more meant to go into a clean amp. So, look, we concede. In that first video, we had one of the amps going through Creamback speakers. We had the Soldano going through vintage 30s. We did plug into the front end of a 100-watt clean amplifier. It's like, so we've set up like everything for you guys behind here now.
As much as we can.
We've got an SLO 30. Actually, no, let's start with the first bit. We've got two cabs, two identical size cabs. One is a Victory 2x12 closed back vintage 30 loaded cabinet. That's here.
The grey one.
The cream one over here is an open back, Creamback loaded cabinet. So you've got one that's very reminiscent of a, you know, a sort of a tighter, modern, more modern sound, and one that's a little bit sort of looser, open sound. But we've got two of them. We have used the Andy Sneap miking technique, which is a single SM57 on the edge of the dust cap. Both the same, about an inch away from the grill cloth, maybe slightly less than an inch.
Like
yeah. Then what we've done is we've got lots of amplifiers from a Katana head, which is I've turned up so that you can see where the knobs are. That would normally be, all the knobs would be on the top, but I've turned it on its front so you can see all the knobs. So we've got a Soldano, we've got a Marshall SV20, a JCM 800, a 5150, a Fender Deluxe, and an SLO 30. All right. And we can now, using the Ampeat switcher, we can have any of those amps into any of those speakers, and we can compare the pedal into the effects return of these amplifiers, assuming they have effects loops. The Fender Deluxe doesn't. Or we can go into the front end of them and compare them. And what we're also going to do is we're going to use a looper, a Boss looper, so that we just can play one sort of traditional style, you know, E-style chugged riff, and then just loop that over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So we are staying more at this point in that sort of heavy rock metal kind of genre of chugging. Yeah. Maybe if we get to the end of this video, we might sort of go, so what about Eric Clapton and B.B. King and Gary Moore and all those kind of guys?
Well, that's nobody's commented that in the comment section.
So the first thing that I want to do, before changing anything around, I've plugged the SLO pedal into the effects return of the 5150, because that is the 50 watt 6L6 loaded power amp, and we're going to compare that to just the Soldano SLO through the same speaker cabinet with everything at 12. All right, so everything at 12, including the gain on the SLO, and everything at 12 on the pedal. All right, no other difference, and we'll see. Does it sound similar? You know, we'll have our opinions, you'll have yours. Pete, would you like, with the SLO, the actual SLO, to give us that opening chug?
Yes.
That is close enough, Pete.
Let me save it.
Short of getting you a blonde wig and loads of tattoos and maybe a nose ring.
A blonde wig or black wig.
I don't think we could get any places.
What is the metal? What is the metal?
Right. So that's the loop we're going to use for this video. Apologies if it gets a bit boring after you've heard it like 57 million times. So the first thing we're going to do now is whilst playing through the Soldano, we will literally just press buttons and make it come out of the 5150 effects loop return with the Soldano overdrive.
This is a teamwork here.
Yeah, it is. We need a lot of buttons pressed. And as you can see, we have not tried to sort of tone match anything yet. We're just going everything on 12 on the amp, everything on 12 on the pedal, and with the deep switch that I used on multiple occasions in the previous video, but people still commented that I wasn't using it. We are just, you can see, is not out. In fact, there you go. There's in, there's out. So it's out. This is just stock.
It's out.
Right, here we go then. Soldano with the loop.
Okay, I'll stop you there.
So, can we all agree?
I'm going to turn this off, the Soldano, so we don't have the noise. Oh, that one. Yeah, that's it.
Can we all agree that the pedal on 12 through the power section of this 5150, which is two 6L6s, same as the two 6L6s in the Soldano, through the same V30 loaded speaker cab, can we all agree that doesn't sound very similar before anyone shoots me?
Yes.
Yes, 3 hands went up in the room. Okay, so
that's in the room though. I'm kidding, come on. Yeah.
In what way doesn't it sound similar?
I think that the Soldano amp is much there's much more top end, there's much more low end, it's much clearer and much more open. Where that into that is much more
sounds like someone's thrown a blanket.
It's
over
like this, exactly. It's like
so.
It's like
let's just now. This is where I'm going to get, and this is the joy of being a YouTuber. Obviously, in the first video, I get slayed for not knowing how to set the pedals up. So I put a post out going, okay, help me. How do you? What is different about setting a metal pedal up to any other kind of pedal? And all I've had is like 50 responses to that post not helping. Basically all saying ignore all the people in the first video is not. So look, I have nothing to go by. So I'm hearing more treble. In fact, let's just get the loop going and I'll adjust it as it's playing.
Okay,
so we need to be right.
Here's another thing. You have to have this on for it to actually sound any good because it's going through the effect loop, which means you can't use it unless the pedal is on.
That's a shout. Pete was querying kind of like, if you just use this as into the effects return of an amplifier, what happens to all your other pedals when you want to use them? And it's a kind of an interesting...
And the EQ section and all that.
Well, so on the 5150, like a lot of amplifiers, if you go into the effects return, none of the knobs do anything. There's not even master volume. Some amps, the master volume will still work. On that, nothing works.
You're literally just in the mercy
so here we go. Right.
Power. Okay, so here's the loop. Okay.
Can we go back to the Soldano just as a reference?
Soldano. Okay. Sweet. They're still missing this. There's still something low-endy kind of tightness that is missing in there.
Yeah, I mean, look, to a certain degree, let's not forget that an SLO 100 is a £4,000 amplifier, $4,000 amplifier. The SLO 30 is a $3,000 amplifier. This is a £200 pedal.
And can I also
$200 pedal.
I don't think the target market for this pedal is the people who's got one of these.
You know what we haven't done yet? I can hear the comment section on fire. We didn't put the deep switch in. So let's just.
Okay.
I apologise.
Here we go.
I tell you what, we got fairly close. Let's just, whilst it's running.
Okay. Here's the Soldano first.
Soldano first. Yeah.
It's
I
close,
think it's pretty close now.
But it's still there's still some kind of low-end tightness and a sound tightness in the amp, which it's a £200 pedal.
Yeah,
it's close.
It's a lot closer than we got it in the first video. So I will concede that maybe there's something to this whole through the effects loop.
In the effects loop. But then again, you could missing out, in my opinion, you're missing out if you have a pedal board and you are doing a gig where you need that kind of tone, you need a blues tone, you need all these other tones. You cannot use that because you're at the mercy of this pedal sound and the effects loop. This is what it sounds like. This is what it sounds like without it on, just straight into that amp.
Oh yeah, well it's okay. Fine. I know what you mean. If you plug into the effects return, obviously none of your preamp. Anyway, look, I tell you the next thing I want to do, because it's dead easy to do on here. Now that we've kind of sort of matched it, let's see how much different it sounds between the two speaker cabs.
Yes.
Because I mean, we're not going to go through all this in the video, but you have to take our word for it. there is a massive bigger difference between how you mic the speaker cab up than there is just... So yes, the vintage 30 loaded speakers do sound different to the Creamback speakers. We might use some room mic here as well, just to sort of give you some idea. But what was making the biggest difference was taking the microphone on it and going from the center of the dust cap towards the edge of the cone, messing around off axis. That made a huge difference. But
and
anyway,
I think what you're going to hear, if you hear the room mic, you probably hear a lot more low end in the cabinet that's got an open back on it.
So we're going to start back with just the SLO doing that loop, and over here and here, when I switch between number 3 and number 4, so number 3 is the vintage 30 loaded cab, number 4 is the...
So here comes the Soldano and the loop. You need to swap it to the...
I do apologise.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's as big a difference. In the first video, everyone was like, oh, you got to use the same speakers, that's the reason it all sounds so totally different like that. I'm not actually sure I agree. It doesn't, I mean, it sounds slightly different. Again, hopefully in that clip of audio you you heard a little bit room mic and a little bit close mic.
Yeah.
The Cream cab here is an open back cabinet, so in the room maybe it's a little bit different sounding to the close. But anyway, so that's the speaker difference. I think the last bit of the video now, just purely and simply because it would be pointless because we wired it all up. Let's go back to plugging it into the front end of an amplifier, which is how Soldano think this has been designed.
Which I think, personally, that's how it's designed to go on your pedal board and give you a flavour of the Soldano.
Is it a preamp or a distortion?
Well, that I think, as Oz has just said there, is kind of... We had a similar thing with these Victory pedals recently, okay? So people talk about them as amps in a box because designed to sound like an amp, designed to sound like an amp, all that kind of stuff. I think there is a technological difference between necessarily making a product designed to replicate the preamp of an amplifier versus making a distortion pedal designed to try to sound like that amplifier. Maybe I'm splitting hairs here, but the Soldano pedal, as with the Victory pedals, are firmly in the camp of it's a pedal like any other pedal, just with a you know, their take on the sort of the gain structure and the circuit and all that kind of stuff, the tonality of it. So we'll have a quick mini break here whilst I unplug it from the effects loop of the 5150, and then we'll literally just go through all the amps that we've got in the amp. You can hear it.
Okay.
Right. We're back in the room. We're going to use the same loop again. I think we'll go in... I guess we should start with the SLO amplifier again. So that's number 7. I will jump back then to number 1, and it's going to go this one, this one, this one. We're going to leave the Laney out because it's only a little 3-watt amplifier. So we're going to go this one, this one, this one, then the Fender, then the Katana, then and then back to the Soldano again. These are all on their... I mean, I was going to say clean channels. It's definitely clean out of the Fender and the EVH. The Marshall and the JCM and the SV, they're probably dialed up a bit louder, so a little bit hairier. And the Katana again is on the clean channels. So
it's an interesting comparison.
All through the vintage 30 loaded cab again. Do you know what? You can hear them through both if you really, really want to. It doesn't matter, but I'll do it. I'll do the first pass round just. So
what do you want to hear first?
So let's. SLO on its gain channel.
There we go. Here we go. Okay, can I just say that the Katana sounds the best of all of them?
Well,
with that
bizarrely,
straight
I thought the Fender and the Katana, the two least, well, certainly the Fender's the least gain. Now, we've used all the same settings on the pedal we did through the effects loop. Now, maybe as you all completely right, what's now happening to the signal chain is the pedal is trying to shape the tone in a certain way. And even with all the knobs set to 12 on these amplifiers, the internal preamp in these are again trying to put their characteristic on it. So of course we need to compensate on the pedal on each one. These
three here didn't make a good impression on me.
Well, I think it's again because what we did here was very scooped and very trebly, and it's adding to the fact that those are very trebly amplifiers anyway.
Absolutely.
So how about we do that again with everything set 12 at 12 and again, let's just see what happens.
So you want to start with the
SLO
with
again?
The SLO, and then we go the same way around?
I think so.
Here we go.
Katana sounds so close. There we go. I mean, I don't really know what to.
I still think that Soldano sounds the best of all of them because it is the amp.
Yeah, look, again, you could. I mean, let me just quickly do it in maths in my head. Roughly speaking, the Soldano head costs the same as buying all of these added up together. So there's no sense that, not quite.
But all you need is a Katana, really, and then that pedal.
Katana sounds amazing.
Yeah. I would like to just try a bit more on that. I'm surprised.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not surprised actually because I know they're good.
Of course, with any of these amplifiers, I'm sure if we spent the time and we optimized exactly how we'd set the pedal, we'd kind of iron out some of those tweaks. I do want to show you again through the other cab, because I kind of feel there's like a lot was made in that first video of it being like the wrong speaker cab and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not so sure that
I don't think it is because who's this pedal for and what have they got at home? I bet.
Well,
you know, it's you know what have they got?
Let's go through it again.
Okay,
so starting with the SLO, but now into this cab.
Okay.
Oh, wrong one. Yeah, you know what? I actually, again, we'll see when you all play it back. But I certainly don't think that the Creamback Loaded cabinet makes it worse. It's just a slightly different sounding.
Can I just a quick one, because we did the video on the new Friedman amps, the Pink Taco version 2 and the Little Sister, and those cabinets have got creambacks in it. Whereas I was like, what, have they? But it's just not always. It's not always a V30 for V30. You know, but you can watch that video up there, by the way.
So what did we learn?
What's the conclusion? I don't think we f***ed it up, man. I really don't think we did. I think we could have done it like this instead. The first time around, I agree with that, but I don't think we plugged the pedal in to a clean amp like any people will have a clean amp at home. Yeah. And yes, we didn't plug it into the effects loop, but because I personally don't think that's what that pedal is for. But that's just my opinion of it.
I kind of feel like.
And into the effects loop, but for $4,000 amp, who's got that? But won't buy that anyway.
I do think in that first video, we did go down a slightly pointless rabbit warren of kind of this into the clean sound of the Soldano versus the gain. It's like if you own the Soldano anyway. I mean, my gut feeling is at £200, this is much more likely to sell to someone who's got a Katana or a Fender Hot Rod Deluxe
exactly.
or something
or
like
Blues
that.
Junior, but that's
sort of
exactly
thing,
my point. Is who's this pedal aimed for? It's aimed for someone who wants the flavor of the Soldano amp, because that it gives you. It looks amazing. The price is great. It's got a purple light in it, man. It's got top-mounted jacks.
Well, look,
you got
we
all
did
the stuff
right at the beginning of this video say that maybe if we had time, we would just kind of explore maybe non-metal. So, like, you know, whether it's Clapton or whoever. So I think, Pete, just to play us out, which one was your favourite of these? And then we'll just see if there's like a lower gain. I mean, I don't know what.
What do you want to do? A low gain on here?
I suppose, yeah, low gain.
I've just gone low gain and then do a low gain. I mean, my favourite of all of these is the Fender and the Katana.
That's the shout. Let's loop a classic,
like a blues thing,
Knopfler riff or something like that, recognisable. We'll down the gain and we'll just go literally through 1 to 7 again with it, and then that's the end of the video.
Bluesy licks.
It's look, honestly, please don't feel like we take the comments the wrong way in the video. I think we're extremely open-minded to sort of going, okay, maybe there is another way of doing it.
Yeah.
I certainly think sometimes in the comments section, you can see that someone's watched a minute and a half of a video, jump straight in with a comment, you're just going, if you'd have just watched the next 10 minutes of the video, you'd have realised that we'd answered that question.
We can tell how long you watched as well, and it's not...
But it's fine. So, but I'm, and again, like, you know, we are not Ola England or Rabir Massad or Jamie Slays or any of those kind of metal players. We're really, you know, that the riff that Pete, that's not what we grew up listening to, but hopefully you appreciate that we've kind of, it's in the right ballpark and it was a fair demo, and there you are.
I still think it's a great pedal.
Yeah, do you know what? Genuinely, I think it's a good pedal. It still doesn't make me not want a Soldano SLO amplifier, though. But I'm sure Soldano will be pleased about that.
Exactly.
The last thing they want is, you know, people going, oh yeah, I was going to do 4,000, but now I'll just do 200.
I'm going to have a matching cabinet, and I'm going to have it custom made, finished, and all sorts of stuff.
That's it.
There we go.
The end. Please loop out. Yes, like and subscribe.
You can win some stuff.
You're only allowed to say nasty thing in the comment section if you're subscribed. So, right, that's it. Pete's going to play out something, and we'll see you another time. Au revoir. Take it away, Mr. Pete.